Hi everyone, I'm Eglys, Director of Recruiting here at TorontoJobs.ca. I hope everyone is well today and keeping safe. Today our video is for those who have questions about the job offer stage. So assuming some of you are currently expecting a job offer or have a job offer at hand, congratulations. And of course, if not, these are some good tips to consider for the future. So my first tip is simply not to panic and not to rush things. So just take a deep breath and take your time to look over your offer carefully. Typically, an employer should give you some time to review the offer, at least 48 hours. And if you're not sure about that time or they haven't given you any specific deadline, just make sure to request that time for yourself to go over it carefully. Okay. Second tip, it would be just to make a list of questions, including any terms that you're not familiar with, any terminology that you're not understanding in the offer, or if something's a bit off for you, then just write things down so there's no miscommunication, and you know, I would say don't go overboard and pick apart everything, but also make sure that you're not getting any red flags, right? So third tip would be to have, on top of that, would have a third party look at it. Ideally a lawyer, if you can, but if not, then just a spouse, a family member, even a recruiter if that's someone that you're working with, but someone that you trust, obviously. Fourth tip would be just to make sure that you are, again, not picking it apart, but cover the main points. So typically, if you're looking to negotiate anything, you're looking at, most people are job title, hourly rates, salaries, bonuses, how much the vacation time is, benefits. These are things that you want to definitely understand before accepting an offer. If there's a non-competition clause, sometimes, of course, that's applicable depending on your position. And then, of course, what happens based on termination and how much notice you have to give, etc. So these are typically the points that people do negotiate, but you know, if there's anything else that you feel is important to you, then write it down and address those points. Okay, so moving on, we don't want to keep repeating points, and I think that's why it's important to write it, email it, and just follow up on those points. We don't want to keep going back and forth on, let's say, salary. If the employer has given you a reason why they're not going to be able to change things, then my suggestion is to leave it at that. The worst thing we can do is come across as stubborn or not understanding. Of course, it's our right to negotiate, but at the same time, we have to understand their part, right? And we do what we can. Okay. Always be prepared for a background check. So there will be times, there will be positions where that's very relevant. There's different company policies. Sometimes it's a criminal check, sometimes it's both criminal check and credit, or just a credit. So always be prepared for that. If you foresee any issues with either of those, I recommend just being forthcoming to the hiring manager. Sometimes things that you may think are going to be a limiting factor actually turn out not to be, and maybe not as important to that specific employer. So always bring these up if you're going to have any issues with them. Okay. So overall, don't make it difficult for an employer. You know, list out your points that you want to cover, but let's not negotiate just for the sake of negotiating. Let's make sure that we're prioritizing and everyone is on the same page. Okay, always explain as well, if you're negotiating salary, always explain where you're coming from. You know, sometimes it can just come off as, well, you know, it's a little bit of pride and greed, but no, you know, you want to say, no, it's actually based on the research that I've done, on what I'm seeing out there in the market, also, you know, what I'm currently making. So these are things that you want to explain and list out if you are going to negotiate salary. And of course, let them know you're excited. The worst thing is, as an employer, as a hiring manager, I can speak to the times where you're really excited to hire someone, but you're not really feeling that from them. So we want to make sure that you're happy, you're excited, you're showing that you're interested. And of course, this is just strictly about the offer, but it's not that it's going to take away from the role itself or how excited you are to be with the company. If you do end up declining for whatever reason, just be clear about it. My biggest suggestion is to always keep open communication, and you definitely don't want to burn any bridges. You never know when you're going to come across this person, this hiring manager again. So please just always be clear about, if there's a competing offer, etc. Okay. And really about the job, it should be really at least 80% of your perfect job, of your ideal job. If it's not, if you're just going to be taking a job for the sake of it, you really got to consider that, and maybe consider that you may not be happy long term, and that you won't end up staying, especially if it's, of course, a permanent position. So let's hopefully these job offers that you will be receiving are the ideal job for you or close to it. And of course, if there's a deadline, don't miss the deadline. If we are talking 48 hours, just make sure that you're doing your due diligence in that time. And if you do need extra time for whatever reason, which does happen, just simply put in a request to the hiring manager for that. Okay, and once you accept, make sure again that you are in a celebratory mood, that you're happy, and just write a nice thank you letter to the hiring managers that were in the interviewing process, and I'm sure they'll be welcoming you soon. Okay, so overall, those are pretty much the tips for now, basically, just overall, stay excited, have a good understanding of the offer, and always communicate openly about any concerns that you have. At the end of the process, nothing should feel strange, there shouldn't be any red flags, and really it should just be a moment to celebrate and something to look forward to, and that's it. All right, so thank you so much for listening today. If you have any other questions or you want to send your resume to the recruiting division at TorontoJobs.ca, please reach out to resumes@TorontoJobs.ca, and we are happy to discuss anything else with you. Our team is always happy to schedule calls and talk specifically about your recruitment, what you're looking for, and your job search, and we'll go from there. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care, stay safe, and until next time.